Hello my friends, this is the situation in Moscow. Something happened to the Moscow's refinery facility. It went on fire, and I may tell you why. Because it was hit by a Ukrainian drone, and the drone protection which Russia installed there didn't help. And I'm gonna pause the video. You see, there is the net. And it goes all the way to the tower and also protects this distillation unit, but it's useless. Well, it might secure Russian refineries against the smaller drones, but the big ones, no, they're simply too heavy, and they penetrate those nets. This is a Ukrainian Luty drone that was spotted by the eyewitnesses, but not by the Russian air defense. Shoigu, Gerasimov, where the hell is the Russian air defense? In freaking Moscow. Yeah, the drone was flying kind of low, and here we have the moment of impact itself. It dives down straight to the refinery. And here is the kaboom. Fantastic job done by Ukrainian drone operators who launched those drones for the very long distance. Very successfully, as you might say. The name of it is the Kapotny refinery facility. It is located straight in Moscow, 15 kilometers away from Kremlin. And you see lots of the residential buildings around, but Ukraine doesn't aim towards Russian residential buildings. The main goal is the Russian refinery that was in Moscow and other refineries in Russia. Here's the message that was written on a drone, so it's like the payback for the Russian attack on Kiev, where Ukrainian Lavra, this is Lavra, it's the Orthodox Saint Church complex that was hit by the Russian drones. So Moscow will be kaputted. The guys from 10th SBS, so the special battalion of the special drone forces, something like that. And here is one more drone. It was flying very low and it hit a residential building under construction. So not this one, but behind there was the building which was under construction or is still. Here's the video from the different perspective. Let's watch it. So you see, it hit the building which was in a process to be built. So of course there were no any casualties, everything went fine for Russians. Not for refinery though, but for this particular building it was inhabited. Just the box. Well guys, what I may say that definitely there is the huge issue with the Russian air defense. Even in the Moscow region, in the Moscow city, Ukrainian drones are flying and hitting what they want to hit, especially refineries, which are very sensitive for Russia nowadays. Russia has a fuel crisis. In Moscow itself, they have introduced the limits for people to purchase the fuel. And of course, with those strikes, the situation for Russia is not getting better, absolutely. This is fantastic. This is demilitarization, denazification, defuelization of Russia, de-oilization. Yeah, this is how it looks, and I would say that Ukraine is more capable in those features compared to the Russian side. And one more very interesting video from Moscow. Let's watch it. Drone. Drone is flying as at home. Where is the air defense? Moscow. This is very close to that refinery. There are lots of the fuel trucks out there, and Russians are filming constantly those drones. Yep, that's the current situation. At least 2 of the drones hit 2 of the areas or spots in this Russian refinery. Fantastic. Very low altitude, very low, but Ukraine has those technologies to fly that low. Ukrainian drones, they change the altitude, depends where they may fly lower, they may fly higher, and drone operators constantly keep connections with those drones and operate them live. And what is very interesting, that the refinery itself is located not that far away from the Russian air defense system Panzer S-1. The tower for the Russian air defense was built before in this forest patch, but it seems like the air defense was slipping. My friends, just a short break, please press like to this video and also subscribe for the channel, it is very important. And if you can, you may support my job on Patreon or on membership of a YouTube channel. The link for Patreon is in the video description right below. As for the membership, just press button join. Yeah, if you can. My friends, you're the best, and let's continue. So this Russian films the queue to the local gas station in Moscow. And yes, this is not the occupied territory, this is not Crimea, this is Moscow. The crisis reached Moscow, and Russians there not really satisfied. That's why the attitude to the war is changing, and towards Putin also. And we have some breaking news from the Tatneft, one of the Russia's largest oil companies and fuel retailers. It has announced the fuel rationing across its gas stations network all around Russia. They operate more than 900 filling stations, gas stations. Drivers are now limited to 30 liters of gasoline and 60 liters of diesel per passenger vehicle. For the trucks, the limit is 300 liters, but also it depends on the region, because in Moscow, the limit for benzene is 20 liters. Those limits mean the fuel supply issues with the Russian fuel all across Russia, once again. For the last couple of days, Ukraine also hit oil storages in Yaroslavskaya Oblast, and not only. This is Yaroslavskaya oil storage that was burning very hard. There was the new volcano eruption. Well, it is still burning, and we'll see the satellite images later on, but those are the most fresh images showing that at least several of the tanks went on fire. But still, Ukraine has lots of the job to do, because most of the tanks stay without damages, from what I see. Ukraine for the first time is using FP2 drones and FP1 to hit infantry forces of the Russian Federation. Well, maybe no targets in specific direction were found by the drone operators. That's why the only thing they spotted is the Russian infantry, probably. But Russians are in shock in their Telegram channels. Yeah, Telegram is still available using VPNs. The Russians, I wouldn't say panicking, but they are surprised that such expensive drones are used on infantry. It seems like I know where it happened. I think it is the southern part of Ukraine, Kherson Oblast, and the specific infantrymen were carrying man-pads, and that's why they were kaboomed. Alright, to some of the political news, there was the meeting between Zelensky and Trump, and probably it's gonna be one more personal meeting. Well, this one was accompanied by Umerov and Marco Rubio, but they're expected one more meeting. Donald Trump again mentioned the very bad policy of Joe Biden, that he spent $350 billion for Ukraine, which is absolute nonsense. But Donald Trump continued to tell that nonsense, and also he mentioned that he would focus on resolving Ukrainian war after he managed to deal with Iran. But if you watch my previous video and my explanation, it is far away from the deal with Iran. And about the war in Ukraine, Donald Trump simply doesn't have the knowledge of the problem, and till the end of his term, I guess the war may continue or will continue while Putin is alive, I would say, because Putin doesn't want to stop the war. Well, Zelensky tries to tell something to Donny, but Donny is not here. He is out of this reality. He lives in his own wonderland. Well, I guess Rubio understands what is happening, but he has limited influence on Donald Trump. Well, he is one of the most capable officials of the White House administration. He's not ideal, but he is not pro-Russian personally. And I think Rubio and Zelensky, they have good relations, and just to look at how Trump enters the room, and Macron, there is Zelensky, and how he greets Rubio, so really nice, warm attitude. I'm not saying that it influences something, but it is just showing the understanding of Rubio, but not understanding of this guy. And you know, guys, Ukraine has cards to show, like for example, even missiles, like this Flamingo pink missile that was presented on one of the exhibitions together with different other missiles of Ukrainian army. Ukraine even has the prospects to produce FP7 and FP9 missiles. Yeah, the production is done in collaboration with our European partners, but it seems like it is very successful. Well, the Flamingo FP5 I would put under the question, because the effectiveness is 20%, but the price of the missile is very low compared to competitors, and it may carry 1 ton of TNT, which makes it one of the most powerful cruise missiles currently in use. But the problem is that this missile is big, and it is very well visible for the Russian air defense radars. Nevertheless, Ukraine continued the production, and I would say that the flaws with navigation, they were already resolved, so I would say that the missile is pretty much precise if it is not being shut down by the Russian air defense, but to cope with that, Ukraine has drones like FP1 and FP2. So the production is partially in Ukraine, yes, but our European partners also help to produce spare parts. Now I would say that Ukraine should move the production outside Ukraine and cooperate more with our partners, because those facilities and enterprises that produce the spare parts for missiles, for the drones, they're under the constant Russian strikes. Russia has intelligence. They know where to hit. Like, for example, recently in Kyiv, the FP2 drone factory was destroyed by the Russian strike, and you may see the rubble, all of those wings. This is the wing of FP2 drone. It is visible here. Well, the good thing for Ukraine that the production of the drones, it's been decentralized, so Ukraine has multiple of those facilities. Yes, in a way it harms Ukrainian drone production, but those strikes do not stop the development completely. But Ukraine has the problem with the air defense, and Russia may hit more and more of those factories, so it's important for Ukraine, as I say to you, to move the production outside. Yeah, it adds more issues with logistics of how to deliver that number of the drones to Ukraine that fast, but still it would be safe for personnel to develop those drones outside. We'll see. I think Ukraine knows what it does, and the cooperation is ongoing with allies, but here on my channel I'm telling you the things as they are. Even though I cannot 100% state that this image is real in our 21st century, but it seems like it is real. Yeah, it was shared before on Ukrainian channels, later on was deleted, but Russians spotted it and shared on their channels, so it seems like the strike here was legit. Well, Russians tried to somehow interfere into Ukrainian drone operations, so they deployed the special jammers of the Starlink signals. It is called Dom Garant or something like that, Kupol Garant, yeah, and it was hit by Ukrainian drones that this system is supposed to jam. So there is the surveillance drone flying and also an attack drone. So this is the image from surveillance, an attacking drone was filmed before, and the system has been kaputted. Usually there are several of the trailers, like 6 of them, and before in my yesterday's video I already showed you the similar strikes on those trailers. Those are the electronic warfare systems. A system like that was built even before those massive strikes on the Russian logistics. I wonder if it is effective or not, but it seems like it has the radio trace, and that's how Ukraine is capable to locate those jammers. So far, Russia is unable really to do something with the Ukrainian middle and long-range drone strikes. It's basically impossible. And this is the video of the Ukrainian drone strike. Well, it wasn't exactly on this car, but on the bridge. The bridge which is on the way from Mariupol to Crimea, and you see the holes in the road. They're made by heavy Ukrainian drones FP2, I guess, and the road is damaged, the bridge itself. But Ukraine still needs more drones to cause significant damage to this construction. The bridge itself goes across the river of Gruzinsky Yelanchik, that's the name of the river, on the road E58. This is the part of the road. It goes from Novozovsk to Mariupol, so Ukraine tries to cut Russian logistics absolutely elsewhere, and of course the most vulnerable spots are the bridges. And here we have a new video compilation of how Ukraine hits Russian logistics behind the front lines and close to the front lines as well, some of the distortions, Niva vehicles, and many more. Ukraine operates with FPV drones and with longer range drones everywhere. FPVs, by the way, they have the longer range. Now it's up to sometimes even 50 kilometers, 50. Well, usually it's 15. The videos like that are being shared elsewhere in the social media by Ukrainian channels. Well, Russians also show their job, their FPV drone operations, but way less than Ukraine.
То он всегда может приехать в Москву, где
So Peskov, who is the spokesman of Putin, says that if Zelensky really wants to meet Putin, he is very welcomed in Moscow. And only if he agrees on Russian demands, so as they say, peace proposals, for Ukraine to withdraw the forces from the occupied territories of Donetsk. Well, if that's what Russia really wants, good luck in occupying Donetsk in the next 3 years. Well, maybe you'll do it in 3 years, depends, yeah, because Ukraine cuts logistics. And even in Konstantinivka, where there is the partial Russian success, the situation for Russian soldiers is not that great. But we are speaking about more, way more settlements, cities and towns of the Iron Belt of Donbass. The occupation of Donbass may bring hundreds of thousands of more of the Russian losses. Whether Putin is ready for that? I think he is ready. Yeah, he is willing to sacrifice everything for this war. Well guys, that's all what I want to say in this video, and stand by for one more update today. You are awesome, you are the best. And also, if you can, you may support my job on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or follow me on membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join. My friends, also you may press like to this video and subscribe for this channel. You are, again, the best. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.